Welcome back to the weekly news roundup, to the pre-recorded edition, as I did not have the opportunity to go live this week, so we will be recording 3 separate sessions and releasing them over the next couple of video slots. And I do not have the entire list of articles here. You'll have to find them by just having a look at the articles as we are talking about them in the headlines. And with that, we should be back to our regular schedule next week. And with that, if you want to help support the channel, have a look at the website, switchedtolinux.com/support. That will take you to this nice support page. We have a list of affiliates over there, and we did confirm a few more of them were working. And then, of course, we have our Patreon, locals, and subscribe star options if you want to help support over there. And with that, we are going to be talking a little bit today about data brokers, of course, a subject that I talk about quite a bit. And as we are discussing the concept of data brokers, you have to remember these are hundreds, in fact, possibly thousands of shadow companies that none of us know who the vast majority of any of these are. I mean, a few of these are big, like LexisNexis is one that has become popular from the Allstate collecting a bunch of data through just data trackers embedded in cool free apps like Gas Buddy that you should uninstall right now, or Life 360 or things like that. And they collect all this data. And that one was in the news, so we know about that one. But there are thousands. Why do we say thousands? Well, in an investigation of looking at just 5, only like 5 states require that data brokers register with the state as a data broker. And an investigation by several organizations, among them EFF, have demonstrated that they found in many instances up to 750 different companies that did not properly register with the various states. That is a very staggering number to think about. And the problem is that these data brokers are shadow companies that seeking only to make money. And they are effectively unknown, so they will accept money in any way, shape, and form. In some instances, it is the government that buys data from them to augment their investigations rather than seeking warrants, which raises some serious constitutional issues. And then in other instances, of course, they become popular when about 6 or 7 years ago or so, when the data broker information was leaked out with precise location data that was transferred to them from cell phone companies, and private investigators were found able to buy anybody's location data on a targeted basis. And all of these are interesting things that we need to discuss with. But then the biggest problem, in my opinion, right now is data brokers, being in a business that is fairly unscrupulous as it is, are seeking to simply make money. And how much vetting and care do they take in preventing that data that they're just looking to sell from falling into wrong hands? And that raises a lot of serious implications with a lot of current situations where companies are hacked, data breaches occur, and then what ends up happening in the midst of all of this is that data just leaks out, and then it's picked up by scammers, and then our data leaks all over the dark web, and now we have a massive issue with AI putting together all these profiles and engaging in supercharged scams. Data brokers must be banned. Let's have a look at a couple of the more recent news articles that have come out affecting or impacting data brokers. Then we'll have a look at some of the things that came out in the past year or so regarding this. And the first one here from Security Affairs discusses a data breach of Instagram users. Now, this is kind of at the tails of another situation with Instagram that Meta's like, no, there's no leaking going on here with all this big password reset situation, and many people receive these, and apparently some of them were scams, and some of them were not, and I don't really know one way or the other. And I'm just like, yeah, I think it's Instagram. And in fact, that's one of the best ways I don't fall for any of these things, is because I don't even work with lots of these companies, and I get a lot of these emails. I haven't gotten the one from Instagram, but I've gotten emails from several different companies. Hey, your account here there's a password needs changed and fixed. It's like, I don't have an account at you. Like, what are you talking about? Or I don't have an account at that email address. And of course, eventually, I log into the account just to make sure, everything's fine over there, hunky-dory. They're just grabbing emails and, throwing them in because everybody and their brother uses now like the same 8 services. And so, of course, you have a very good chance of duping somebody into thinking that your password is actually leaked, and you got to click the button now to change it, or else you're going to lose everything. How dare I might lose my place in my Stranger Things series because I like strange things apparently. And so, they assume that people will have these, or maybe not assume, maybe it's just a basic automated, hey, let's grab every email we can possibly find from a data broker and let's send these emails out. And by the way, I should mention those emails I get those things on are long old emails that I have as junk collectors right now. The primary emails I use, other than the one here at Switch to Linux, which unfortunately in the first 5 years of the channel, I had the email address publish you can reach out to Switch to Linux. Yeah, I pulled all that stuff off because everybody and their brother selling fraudulent garbage crap wants me to sponsor their videos or review their videos or blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't know how many times I can say it. If you're some Chinese freak wanting me to review your crap, okay, I simply ban you. Like, I have this massive list of emails that I block. Okay, if you try and sell me your crap, you send me, hey, we got a great video for you. I block, and you can never email me again. And I still get thousands of them. It's insane. We don't take sponsorships at Switch to Linux. I mean, I tried it one time. It was a really bad experience. And frankly, after thinking about it, I don't want to take sponsorships. I would like you to support the work directly if you like what I'm doing and spread the word about it, because I'm not going to be sitting here giving you a commercial. You have as much as I'm a privacy advocate. I think these privacy companies can get you out of these data brokers. I ain't selling you a service. No, you want to look up some of those services and try them yourself. You're on your own. I'm not going to take money from them for you to give them all your information so they can allegedly remove it. I don't know. I just don't trust companies that much, I guess. But this one here was an interesting one because there was a new database that was for sale on the dark web. And in this particular database, there were apparently 17.5 million Instagram users. And in the midst of all of this actually included information which exposed usernames, physical addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses. And of course, the big one there is physical addresses. Now, Facebook is sitting here saying, well, nothing was hacked. But what happened here is apparently they were able to somehow scrape, maybe it's like Instagram owned by Meta, had that whole WhatsApp flaw that you could scrape everybody's phone numbers from and get their accounts. And how many people will have different numbers and things. Of course, everybody connects their phone number to their Instagram, of course. And so now if you can scrape for the usernames and the phone numbers off of WhatsApp, like was demonstrated not too long ago, well, maybe you can put a few pieces of stuff together. And now you reach out and you purchase marketing lists from data brokers, e-commerce platform, leak customer records. And now these darknet guys match together physical addresses, among other things, with all of these profiles to create these profiles that you can selectively target individuals with for either doxing or more advanced scams. I mean, there was one even a decade ago where the scammers are calling pretending to be the IRS. And the guy knows they're a scammer, like, yeah, ha, 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 whatever. And he kept on playing with it. He says, if you don't take this seriously, we're going to call the police. And, dude, before long, he even was still on the phone with them. Police show up. These scammers swatted the guy on the phone. And that was over a decade ago. How'd they get all that information? Data brokers. Because data brokers should be banned immediately. And so this information came out with Instagram. So researchers found sensitive databases for sale on cybercrime forums describing as a doxing kit, affecting nearly 18 million Instagram users. Unlike past data scrapes, this leak also included physical home addresses linked to the Instagram user IDs. It likely did not come from the Instagram profiles. When I first read that, I'm like, why does Instagram have your physical address? They don't really need. I don't even know Facebook specifically asked for it. I think they might, but effectively, this was put together from information purchased from data brokers, among other places. And effectively now, since this is tied to physical stuff in this highly politicized world where, you can do stupid and then cause the whole world to think that the other guy did wrong. Go figure. So it enables stalking, swatting, extortion, identity theft, and turning a digital privacy breach into a potential real-world safety risk, all empowered by data brokers. How wonderful. All right, so they're looking at this a little bit further. So effectively, this one does allow you to sort and purchase by different types. So you can buy like high profile, you can buy certain people and things like that. So this says influencers and high profile business accounts are the primary targets of these particular attacks. So now, Instagram users should now assume possible exposure. Researchers recommend avoiding clicking password reset emails. Reset your password only by the app. Verify emails using Instagram's official email log to spot phishing. And enable app-based two-factor authentication. Preferring to avoid SMS 2FA, finally review and remove unknown third-party app permissions, which may have contributed to the breach. And that's one of those things is we attach all these weird apps to everything that we're doing. We're like, oh, this is so cool. Look at this. This is like the one I talked about the other day with the Google and Microsoft having a partnership with PayPal, literally allowing PayPal using an API to scan your emails to, give you amazing notifications about delivery stuff. Well, that also sounds like PayPal can probably also scan your emails for everything else you're doing. No, thank you. I just don't want PayPal seeing what's in that account, and you shouldn't either. But another one that also came out this week, a data broker fined after selling Alzheimer's patient info and millions of other sensitive profiles. This one actually stemmed a Texas company that was sued under the California's new laws. So California is actually doing some great things in this area. Now, of course, the Texas data broker was fined $45,000. Talk about going to the average person and saying, I'm fining you 1 penny for doing something. Well, I don't admit guilt, but here you go. Here's pennies. That's the data broker care, $45,000. No, you should have taken so much money from these guys. You should have just started seizing the assets of everybody involved in the company. Like start robbing the low-level employees of all their assets too. Okay, get them to maybe start work. I know Dave Ramsey used to say like the scummiest of all scummy work in the debt collection. I disagree with Dave Ramsey. It is the employees of the data broker. If you work for a data broker company, you are the lowest scum on the face of the planet. I mean, I'd rather step in a pile of dog poop as to talk to you. I don't know, man. But this one came out of the fact that the data broker failed to register with California, and California came after them and got their penny. Probably cost California more than $45,000 to pursue this, but they showed them a lesson. California privacy regulators fined the Texas data broker $45,000 and banned it from selling California's personal information after it sold Alzheimer's patients' data. So the Texas company Rickenbacker Data LLC, which does business as Data Masters, bought and resold the names, addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses of people that suffered from serious health conditions, according to the California Privacy Protection Agency. So they didn't stop at Alzheimer's patients. Also, if you were blind or visually impaired, you happen to have addictions, or you had bladder control issues, they also did it. And that's a real pisser right there, right? All right, so in the light of all of this, the company sold information tied to ethnicity as well, literally selling, quote, Hispanic lists. Yikes. Containing 20 million names, as well as age-based senior lists. We call it a boomer list. That'd be better. All right, and indications of financial vulnerability. How wonderful. It sold records of people holding high-interest mortgages. And if buyers wanted data on other likely customer characteristics and actions, such as who's likely a liberal or a right-winger, it could give you that too, thanks to 3,370 consumer predictor models spanning automotive preferences, financial activity, media use, political affiliation, and nonprofit activity. And how do they gather all this stuff up? Most of the time, they gather it up by you just having a phone and being a normie. You have your phone and you turn on Bluetooth and location, and then you download every app you've ever seen under the sun. Like if you download any 5 random apps, you are probably feeding 10,000 data brokers. Stop downloading apps. All right. I mean, yeah. So California regulators began investigating data masters after discovering they failed to register as a data broker as required under California's Delete Act. The law has required data brokers to register since January 31st, 2025. So almost a year ago. They failed, and I got to praise them, though, for California in less than 1 year getting this company. Of course, the regulator acknowledged data masters did try to comply with California privacy laws, but that it lacked sufficient written policies and procedures to ensure compliance with the Delete Act. The fine imposed on data masters takes into account that it hadn't registered on the state's data broker registry. Data brokers that don't register are liable for $200 per day in fines, and failing to delete consumer data will incur $200 per customer per day fines. So they're like, hey, we're going to give you a little bit of a break. This is like them like, oh, this is only your 37th time before us for a violent stabbing in our state. Don't do that again. You need to do like 5 minutes of community service, and I don't want to see you here again. All right, and so the guy goes out and, of course, and stabs the 38th guy next, and he'll be back in court a couple days later, but it's California, so they don't, keep violent people out the streets. That's basically what they did to the data broker. They were selling completely protected health information, demographic, like everything they're doing here is even against federal law in many instances. I believe so. If not, it should be. Maybe it's not, and that's probably the problem. But every data broker simply needs to be banned. And so Alzheimer's patients, they note here, are especially vulnerable to financial exploitation. This is why, do yourself a favor. If you have a family member diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, get a power of attorney over their financial decisions. You have to protect them from it because they can easily be taken advantage of. So criminals were found to have accessed data from at least 3 data brokers in the past, and it seems easy for people to buy data from data broker lists. Hey, isn't that wonderful? Ban all data brokers. That's good. Of course, while Americans might assume the HIPAA protects health data, that only applies to healthcare providers. Data brokers are outside the purview. If a data broker grabs all your information because, I don't know, you've downloaded 15 apps that all do cool little charts with your Fitbit, and then you allow that Fitbit data to go to these things, all of that data, not only does it go to Google, the owner of Fitbit, but it also goes to all of these data brokers. And they don't have to follow HIPAA. They can sell that data to anyone, including your insurance company. And then your insurance company's like, oh, I see you're getting treatment for type 2 diabetes. We can see over the last 5 years you have failed to meet basic step goals that would be recommended by health. We're going to deny your claims and policies. But what about the hundreds of thousands of dollars I paid you over the years? Well, thank you for that money. We're still not paying for your paid treatment. The data we know about you from the amazing data broker, from that cool Fitbit on your wrist, told us you did not do basic things to take care of your health. So thank you for the money. We're not paying for it. And that's how these companies work. All right. So data brokers need to be banned, every one of them. So looking at hundreds of data brokers are not registering with states. Now, California is not the only state that requires data brokers to register. Unfortunately, California, Texas, Oregon, and Vermont are the ones. Oh, I said 5 earlier. I guess it's 4. 4 states in our country require data brokers to register with the state. Of course, they don't like doing that because, that exposes who they are. They said the companies that registered in one state but did not register in the other include 291 companies did not register in California, 524 in Texas, 475 in Oregon, 309 in Vermont. Those numbers are from April 2025. That's a lot of data broker companies buying and selling and sharing and coagulating a lot of our data about us. Why is this even allowed in this world? Why is it even allowed? Especially, we talked about a couple weeks ago the Pennsylvania case where they're like, yeah, we can use all that data. You assume that by using a phone, that data can be collected. Well, can we have laws to protect that data from weird third-party sources we don't know? It's counter to the narrative that the crazy people in charge of this world want us to have. All right. Hundreds of data brokers have not registered with state consumer protection agencies. The findings are that come as more states are passing data broker transparency laws that require brokers to provide information about their business and in some cases give consumers an easy way to opt out. So a new law analysis by Privacy Rights Clearinghouse and the EFF reveals that many data brokers registered in one state are not registered in others. So how many total data brokers are in this? I don't know. But hey, 475 did not register in Oregon that did register in other states. All right. So new data broker transparency laws are essentially the first step to winning in the data broker industry. This is an ecosystem in which your personal data taken from apps and other web services can be bought and sold largely without your knowledge. Analysis only includes companies that registered at least in one state. It does not capture data brokers that completely disregard state laws by failing to register in any state. So there's thousands of these probably that are not registering anywhere. They're like, we don't care. They don't know who we are anyway. So a total of 750 data brokers have registered in at least one state, while harder to find shady brokers who fail to register anywhere should remain a primary enforcement target. All right, so what can we do about it? Well, the CFPB in December of 2024 was going to propose a rule to stop data brokers from selling sensitive personal data to scammers, stalkers, and spies. But they have since decided they're going to not do that instead. So, yeah, it's according to the government, yes, they were going to stop the data brokers, like not stop data brokers entirely, just stop data brokers from selling your stuff to scammers, stalkers, and spies. But they've decided, nah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to stop data broker companies from selling to scammers, stalkers, and spies. We're not going to stop them from doing that. Now, it's not as evil as, there's an orange evil Hitler in office. It's not having anything to do with that. A lot of it has to do with the purview of the law. The problem is that the CFPB does not have any authority to do such a thing. They don't. And that really is the reason why. The decision withdrawal follows numerous concerns raised by commenters regarding the alignment with the FCRA and the Bureau's statutory authority. CFPB acknowledges that these concerns require careful consideration and has decided to not proceed with finalizing the rule. Instead, it will revisit the need for such a rule in the future should it become necessary. Now, I do think that a lot of those commenters were probably the hundreds of thousands of people working at these data broker companies who were, the lowest of the low, the scummiest of the scum, that their slave driver bosses probably literally whipped them on the backs. Go comment positively how bad this would be for our industry or you'll lose your job, pleb. Obviously I'm making that up. But they do say that it has to do with great concerns raised by commenters. This means commenters of these rules proposed. So this happened so silently, because it happened in December, nobody knew to comment about this except for the people it was going to be impacting. And so they received a lot of that. But to their point, if they did pass this rule, it would have been challenged by one of these thousands of companies and probably overturned on constitutional grounds, which is a frightening state of our society. However, this would not be outside the purview of something like the Federal Trade Commission to implement a rule. So I did not see any implementation on that. Of course, as I'll talk briefly about the Federal Trade Commission soon, when they had the opportunity to stop the painful way to exit subscriptions. Yeah, they decided to stop that rule too. That one I don't think they have a good reason. That you can blame whatever you want on that one. I didn't read a real good reason. But anyway, that really is the point here. We have to ban data brokers. We have to do whatever we can, either on the state level. It's got to start with the state levels. It's got to creep its way up. It's got to get a federal law. We have to ban data brokers. If we are going to live in this digital world, in this digital age where everything's required on these phones and on these computers and on these websites, we cannot be stalked, harassed, and have all this data and information stolen about us while we are forced to do things, especially since many government agencies force us to do these things online. Like, I am a person in Pennsylvania. It is painfully difficult for me to do vehicle registration if I don't do it on the internet. It is painfully difficult for me to do taxes, for me to do, I have to do sales tax collection. I have a sales tax license that has to be filed. Painful to do if I don't do it on the internet. Can we at least have some basic protections for when we're on the internet? It makes absolute sense, except in a world so corrupted by advertising and micro-targeting of individual people, not just to sell us things, but also to scam us out of our things by illegal psychopaths in other countries. All data brokers need banned, and it's quite easy to do. Simply declare all data brokers must disband. All data must be completely disposed of. It's very simple. If I don't have a direct business relationship with you, you have zero right to any information I have. Period. If anybody finds any information on me out there I don't do business with, it should be boom, jail. You're done. Get out of society. You're done. That should be, because data right now is the new oil. It is used by marketers, and that's why they won't ban it. Too many people make too much money on this stuff. But it's used by marketers. It's used by scammers. It is used to cause serious damage to people. And that is something that must end. Let me know your thoughts about all that and what we could possibly do to end data brokers in this country. Let me know your thoughts about all that in the comments down below. And we will, again, release a couple more of the videos for the weekly news roundup over the next couple days. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.